Welcome to this live recording of the Gary Das podcast. And today I want to talk to you about how to build a successful business. You know, I've been in business since 2006, and I can definitely say that it's been a roller coaster. There's been ups, there's been downs, there's been goods, there's been bad, there's been loads of mistakes and errors made along the way. And I've had a business partner, my best mate, I bought him back out. I upscaled my team and recruited too quickly and had to get rid of everybody and start all over again. I did no marketing for nearly 10 years and had to start all over again, probably for the third or fourth time. And I think it's really important that you accept that your business journey is going to be a roller coaster, that there's going to be good, bad, and ugly. And I wanted to share with you 5 things that I think are vital to you building a successful business, and to do it in the quickest possible way. Because it's not just about the speed. You've got to appreciate that building a business is as much like a marathon as well as it is a sprint. You know, it takes time. You know, you don't plant a seed and wait for the tree to be there or expect the tree to be there tomorrow. The 5 things that you're going to need, or that you should be focusing on, or the skills in actual fact that you need to build a successful business. So number 1 is being a bloody good technician. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, in order for you to do the job that you're doing, so let's take me as a mortgage broker way back when. You know, to begin a business, you have to be good at being a technician. You have to be a good mortgage broker. You have to be a good hairdresser. You have to be a good plumber, a good accountant, a good marketing guru. You have to be good at your job. You have to be good at sales. You have to make sure that as a technician, you can do really, really well, and that you've got a vast experience behind you so that you can actually make sure you've got variety in your delivery. You know, when I started out as a mortgage broker, I was in a bank, I was in Connell's estate agency, I was in a brokerage in Colchester, I went to London and worked for one of the top brokerages in the country before coming back to Chelmsford and launching a new startup and being one of the founder advisors for a new business. And in the course of 12 months, we grew that business to £100,000 a month before I went self-employed. And I was sales and compliance manager, leading the advisors and the sales team and the other technicians. Now, once I had got good at being a technician and also done a little bit of management, which I didn't really enjoy, the second thing is you need to understand being an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is someone who looks at the vision, who thinks strategically, who plans for the future, has 1 million ideas consistently. You know, let me know if you're somebody who has 1 million ideas a day and it's just about pulling the trigger and taking action on those. Because an entrepreneur is generally a generalist. You know, you're average at a lot of things, but equally you're good at maybe 3 or 4 things. And it's identifying what your actual true skill set. It's about making sure that as an entrepreneur, you're focusing on the vision, you're focusing on the plan, and you're coming up with lots of ideas to keep driving the business forward. The third thing is thinking strategically. You know, it's just about reviewing the past. It's thinking about the present, but also thinking about the future. As a technician, you're very much in the now only. You don't really reflect much on the past other than the sales conversations that you're perhaps having. You know, you think a lot about the deals that you're doing on a day-to-day, a week-by-week, a month-by-month basis, but you don't focus much on the quarterly, the annual goals and targets. Maybe you set a target for yourself for the year, but you focus on the now in order to make those numbers and transactions come to light. You know, when you start thinking strategically, it's about the relationships that you need to build. It's about putting those ideas into practice. It's about the team and the people that you need in order to build the business that you want to build. So as an entrepreneur, you know, you have to move into strategic thinking. And this, I think, is one of the biggest things that most technicians struggle with. The transition from being a technician, moving into entrepreneur, and then moving into strategic thinking. Because everything that you begin to do as a entrepreneur, and when you're thinking strategically, more often than not, is actually focused on the future. And when you're a technician, you're working in the now. So everything that you do generally sees results now. But I can definitely say this is based on my journey. And it was a massive mindset shift moving to strategic thinking, where everything that you do in the now is actually for the benefit of the future. Now, in order to focus on the strategic thinking and to become an entrepreneur, yes, you need an administrator. Yes, you need a PA. Yes, you need to leverage the lower value tasks. You need to delegate to elevate. And the fourth thing that you really need is you need a manager. Because a manager is in charge of managing the people. They're in charge of managing the present. They're also in charge of managing the past. They keep an eye on the expenses. They keep an eye on the costs of the business and the operations and how things work. As a technician, you build out the systems and the processes and the automations. You leverage your time by bringing on a PA and an administrator. That moves you more into an entrepreneurial role, but you get stuck in that entrepreneurial role because you don't think strategically enough. As you begin to think strategically and your mindset shifts, you take on more technicians, you take on more administrators, and you either have a choice to move into a managerial role, but then who's going to fill the entrepreneur role, or you have to hire a manager. And I've hired my manager. It was something that actually, in those first 10 years of business from 2006 till 2015, it was the one thing, the missing piece of the puzzle to me that I hugely lacked and I needed in order to build success. It took me 2006 till 2015 to build a business that almost did seven figures. And yes, 2006, we got hit by the credit crunch. In 2008, I had to diversify and move from mortgages to insurance. In 2009, I let my best mate buy into the business and I bought him out in 2011. And we had built a 14-person team and we downsized and I started all over again with 13 people in 2012. And then I built a business up in 2015. But during that whole period of time, I bought leads, I did no marketing. And during that time, the thing that my best friend and I didn't do is we both wanted to be the entrepreneur. One of us didn't choose the manager role. So now, having got 5 years into my third or fourth attempt at building a business, I've managed to achieve what took me almost 10 years the first time round in half the time, in 4 to 5 years. And the key has been having the biggest team that I've ever had. Only one employee, and that is the manager that is in place. And he is running the people. He's running the operations. Andrew is there on a day-to-day basis, making sure that the past and the present is where it needs to be in relation to my vision for the future. So it's about making sure that you surround yourself with the right people in order to build the business that you want to build. So you move from technician into entrepreneur, into strategic thinking. As you move into strategic thinking, you need somebody to focus on the past and the present. Therefore, you bring in the manager who runs the operations. That's the 4 initial key things that you need to do in the journey that you are embarking on if you want to build a business. The 5th and final part of building a successful business is managing your energy and also managing your emotions. I can definitely say that in my first 10 years of business, I was a bit volatile. I was, I'd kick off really, really easily, and that would have a massive impact on the team. And I would get really upset, really frustrated. I would judge people by my own standards. I would expect people to do things the way in which I would do them. And actually, the fundamental change for me within this whole journey, as I mentioned, for 10 years, I made so many mistakes. But since 2016, I have invested in myself and invested in personal development. I've become an NLP practitioner. I've focused on business development. I focused on mindset, on physical and mental energy levels. And don't get me wrong, I'm by no means perfect. I have massive down days. I have days where I really don't want to do my workout, let alone do my work. But the big thing about being an entrepreneur, about managing your energy, about managing your emotions, is making sure that you do the things that you need to, even when you don't want to. You have to be able to delegate to elevate. You can't do everything all the time. As a technician, you can continue to be a really, really good technician and leverage out the administration. Maybe it's not right for you to become an entrepreneur. Maybe it's right for you to become a manager. Not everybody is cut out to lead a big firm, but you could easily become a manager and manage 3 or 4 people and have a fantastic, profitable, successful lifestyle business. But if you want to go big, if you want to go global, if you want to transform people's lives, help people to become more proactive and have a huge impact on them financially, then you have to transition your brain into entrepreneur and into strategy. And in managing your emotions and your energy, it's about understanding being proactive. It's about the persistence to keep going even when you don't want to. It's about accepting that there are going to be huge failures and knowing that when you have those failures, it's just a case of taking the learnings and keeping going. There is no failure. There is only feedback. And it's how you treat that feedback in order to keep stepping forward. And I can definitely say that actually reflecting on my first 10 years and accepting that everything happens for a reason, that it is a marathon and not a sprint, not getting too carried away with progress, running before you can walk, focusing on actually progressing at the right space. You are where you need to be right now in time based on your skill set. It doesn't get easier as a business owner. You just get better. So what you once found difficult, you begin to find easy. This is so true of the journey of a mortgage broker. When you start out, it is so bloody difficult and everybody underestimates the amount of time that it takes to learn. When you actually realize that you are where you need to be and it will get easier, the more clients that you deal with, the more cases that you do, the better you become as a technician, then you can begin to delegate, to elevate. But you have to go through the painstaking journey of learning. Since 2019, I've launched a secondary business in coaching and mentoring. I've got over 150 online mentees. And I've learned a completely different structure, running an online business rather than a physical business. We've made massive mistakes. We've launched courses, we've launched trainings, we've launched mentorships, we've launched masterminds, and we've completely invested in the online world. The only thing that has enabled the progression of that business from what initially launched in March of 2019 with 16 founder mentees, 8 of which are still with me, is taking action, is trying, is just putting one step forward and accepting there's going to be failures, there's going to be mistakes. But actually in doing that, it's what keeps you moving forward and what keeps you progressing. I was massively a technician in that business in 2019. And fast forward to now, with a social media manager, with a community manager, with a email marketer, with Facebook ads, all of these things have come in the recent times, during the lockdown in 2020. Now, everything in my social media and my marketing efforts, I didn't do any marketing for 10 years. But in 2016, when I started marketing, it was learning from my mistakes. It was a technician as a marketer. You then progress, you then delegate, you then elevate, you take action, you become proactive. You accept that it's a marathon with mini sprints along the way, and you must control your emotions and control your energy to keep the consistency. Because that's probably the one skill that makes everything work, is just consistency. It's accepting where you are versus where you want to be and continuing to be proactive. If you focus too much on the future, then you're going to be, feeling negative. You're not going to be able to manage your emotions effectively. You're not going to have a high amount of energy. And actually, I'm going to do a further video podcast episode on not progressing quickly enough, because it's actually one of the things that I've been discussing with one of my one-to-one coaching clients who expects that he should be further ahead than he actually is. That he's not connecting the dots quick enough. He's not getting to the finish line quick enough. But actually, the journey is the journey, and you just have to accept where you are versus where you want to be. You are where you need to be right now. So in order to build a successful business, yes, you need persistence. Yes, you need to accept it's a marathon, not a sprint. Yes, you need to be proactive. You must make sure that you go through these 5 things. Number 1, you become a really good technician. You get bloody good at your job, better than anybody else. Number 2, you become an entrepreneur. You focus on the vision, the plan, the strategy, the direction. You come up with a million ideas. Number 3, you become strategic and allocate time in your week for strategic thinking. building relationships, looking to the future, finding team, building relationships with people in order to drive the business forward. You know, who do you need to connect to in order to make your business go further than you want it to? The fourth thing is finding a manager, someone who can manage the past and the present, who can be in charge of the people, the team, the operations, to enable you to be the entrepreneur and think strategically and focus on the future. And the last thing, number 5, is managing your energy and your emotions. Doing what you need to, even when you don't want to. Making sure that you are in control of your energy and you accept that you need to be doing a marathon with mini sprints. And the journey is the journey, and it's going to take as long as it takes. So I hope that you've enjoyed this podcast episode on how to build a successful business. I would love to know what you've thought of this podcast episode and if it's resonated with you based on your own journey, or if it's going to help you to think about your journey in the future. The entrepreneurial role is one that is not for everybody. If you're not willing to invest in yourself and surround yourself with other entrepreneurs, then it is definitely not the right role for you. So I hope that you've enjoyed this episode. Come and connect with me on all social media channels. I am at Gary Das. My favorite for a lovely bit of interaction with you on a consistent basis, and where I show the behind the scenes of my daily life is on Instagram, regularly doing stories and engaging with the audience. So come and connect with me there. Let me know what your feedback is on how to build a successful business. And thanks very much indeed for tuning in. Remember, now is the time to be proactive and to get shit done. Have a fantastic day.